Hey everybody, it's Tripl-L and I am here now to do Gundam GQuuuuuuX Episode 1. Alrighty then, let's just get right into it. So let's begin with the obvious thing. Should you be watching this show? Honestly, it's a Gundam show. They're almost always like pretty high tier. I mean, there are sometimes like really experimental Gundams, like Gundam Age. I feel like that's an experimental Gundam. But I think generally, with mecha shows, Gundam is usually a good choice. And when it comes to this one, man, I got thoughts. I got a lot of thoughts, man. Like, after seeing the first episode, I came out thinking like this is a lot of style over substance, especially at the beginning. And I feel like it's just like a very rushed episode for the first one. See, because in the first one, you got like the main girl. I haven't learned her name yet. It always escapes me. It takes me a few weeks to get these names. Like, gosh. But don't have her name. But, it's I think, pretty typical way of getting into a Gundam. She runs into another main girl. They're both in the endings and the openings. Something happens after they crash into each other, like love at first sight, and their bags get mixed up. Turns out the girl was a courier taking an illegal device to activate a mobile suit to her client, but that didn't work out. So our girl, the main girl, somehow is able to track her, and our main girl has this whole thing about freedom. She wants to be free. So this is a justification for later. But anyway, things go down. Mobile suits come in. There's a Gundam flying around the GQuuuuuuX. Its pilot is just going on a test run. They're in an area of space that they probably shouldn't be in. Fights ensue. The guy in the GQuuuuuuX, it's like an experimental thing, right? So like this Gundam just doesn't work for him and he has to hide it in a sewer. Now, our main girl ultimately goes down to that sewer as they're trying to run away from police. And she gets into the Gundam. And the Gundam suddenly activates for her. It gives her a whole new control panel. She goes out into space. The battles are amazing, let me tell you. I'll talk more about that in a second. But yeah, the entirety of the episode is just pretty much how she gets into the Gundam using the illegal key. And also the Harrow in this show. I think I like the Harrow the most. The Harrow might be my favorite Harrow of all Gundams. Like, it's so cute. Anyway, the GQuuuuuuX is pretty good. It has a whole fight. And then we go into episode 2. Alright? You would think that episode 2 would be a continuation of the things that we saw in episode 1, but no. Episode 2 is a full-on flashback, and bros, I was confused. But let me tell you something, the opening animation comes in on episode 2, and bros, I think episode 2 really perfectly captures what I felt about the beginning of episode 1, in that it's very stylish. And I do think episode 1 is just super fast paced, and that's why you get just like so many, like such a lack of substance in terms of just how quickly we have to go through things, and we're just seeing things happen over and over. We don't really dwell on things too much, but yo, I'm getting distracted. The opening animation, it is just so funky. Look at that beauty, man. Like, I was watching this. I'm probably going to watch it multiple times after the editor puts it in the video. I'm going to just watch it multiple times here. It is just so funky looking, man. Like, that's a nice run cycle. Actually, editor, you know what? Let the music play for like the second part of the run cycle. I just want to hear that thing. Yeah, man, it is so good. Anyway, the second episode is confusing. So I want to start by saying, like, when I was looking at episode 1, at many times I thought that this was done by Studio Trigger. It just looked so much like a Trigger anime, and it was about as fast as a Trigger anime. And I did look it up. I looked it up just now. It's Sunrise and Studio Kara, I believe. I did see these people on Reddit saying that former Gainax staff were working on this. But yeah, no, the art style was definitely so different from any of the other standard Gundams that we've seen before. But then you go into episode 2, and episode 2 is like, whoa, this looks like a modern version of the original art style. And I'm thinking, oh, this is neat. Episode 2 is a giant flashback, specifically designed to show people where exactly things diverged. Because as it turns out, Gundam GQuuuuuuX happens in an alternate version of the UC, the Universal Century, the main Gundam universe. And man, like, when a commenter told me about this, let me tell you, when I was told that this was UC, I respect UC, I like Hathaway, I like Thunderbolt, I like the UC Gundams, but I like the alternate continuities a lot more. So when I found out that this was UC, I was surprised. And then you go into this, and so you're seeing pretty much, if you're an old Gundam fan, you probably really appreciate seeing where the timeline differences are that creates the alternate continuity within UC. So that's pretty cool. I did check the Reddit. Those guys seem very happy about that, although they were expressing confusion because apparently this was in the movie that was put out. I haven't seen the movie. I've only seen the anime itself. So things were removed from the movie, which is interesting by itself. Doesn't matter. So you have this flashback happening in episode 2. It's an entire flashback for one of the Zeon guys who is pretty much remembering his glory days with Char and how Char got into Gundam and whatnot. And throughout the whole thing, this is going to lead to a bigger talk from me at the end of the video, but it's animated differently. It's using sound effects and the sounds of the original anime. And at first I thought like, oh, am I like getting that wrong? But then I read what people were saying on Reddit and it's like, oh, no. They were 100% using the sound effects or their modern rendition of the sound effects from the original series, which is really neat. It's honestly a really cool thing. And once the fights start, the fights are beautiful in both episodes. You know, I don't really feel anything for the characters that were introduced in the first episode because everything just goes by so quickly and they just feel like anime characters. There's nothing really special about them. They just feel like anime characters that just do things. Like you see a robot, you get in the robot. Track down some girl that you got your bags mixed up with. Okay, cool. Editor, find that spot where like the girl like jumps onto a signpost at a shrine or something like that. Like I wish I had the ability to jump the way that this girl can jump and just like cat-like reflexes and agility, bros. Anyway, they're just doing anime character things. I don't really have any connection to them other than the main girl's thing about wanting to be free and like this idea about like space noids and humans and going to Earth and like seeing the true sky and all that kind of stuff, all that kind of romanticism. But when you go and you look at Char's flashback, it's like, well, shit, you know what? I like the animation more. I like the grounded style of Gundam more. I don't really need to see a pilot fighting in some illegal Gundam battles in space. I like the war commentary more. I like Char making fun of the Federation at almost every opportunity he gets. That was pretty funny in episode 2. I like the art style more for episode 2 as well. It just felt like episode 2 was more from my particular taste, so I find it interesting that you would do that as your flashback when you're trying to sell everyone on episode 1's plot, essentially. But yeah, no, one thing that is good about both episodes is that when the Gundam fights start, like the fights are so nice. They look so crisp. It was just so cool. Even the explosions look freaking beautiful. Editor, I hope you put like a nice image or like a video. Just loop the explosions, man. It looks so nice. The battles look so nice, man. I think, you know, if you want to see mechs fight, I think this is a really good series. It's unfortunate that I can't really say anything good about the main female characters right now because we know nothing about them. I know more about Char and his Mav buddy. Also, Mav is a term being thrown around. I know more about Char and his buddy than I do about those girls. I've been sold on the friendship. I've been sold on the wine scene in episode 2 of Char and his buddy. Like, look, actually, I think it's a good idea to like put in that wine scene because I'm pretty sure the BL lovers are going to look at that scene and that's going to be the only thing that carries them through. Now, see, on this channel, I like to give viewers a unique perspective that I can offer. And the unique perspective that I can offer is that of a mid-tier book salesman. When I look at this episode, honestly, that second episode, man, like the fact that you go from what you did in episode 1 to a completely different style to like capture the glory days to justify why your alternate universe fanfiction is able to work. That's wild to me. Now, look, as a fan, I'm always in for Gundam. I haven't talked about the models, but yo, I think the GQuuuuuuX is as ridiculous as its name. I think it's I'm actually very curious to know if that model can actually stand up. But the other Gundams that are shown, like the Red Gundam, which is really just a upgraded version or a modernized version of the original, and the 01 Gundam, those guys have cool designs, man. I want the model kits. I'm gonna get the GQuuuuuuX model kit as well because I just need to like know if this thing can stand. But it's just, it looks so goofy. Like there's a run sequence with it in the first episode, and it looked like it was about to fall over. But yeah, no, the Gundam design's really cool. What was I gonna say about this? Oh yeah, no, it's wild to do the different styles. When I look at that, it makes me feel like this is someone's art project. It makes me feel like this is more someone's personal little thing as opposed to like a product that is optimized for maximum viewer retention. And what I mean by that is like, I have a very limited perspective, but like if I was to do this in book form, and it's hard to do this in book form fundamentally because like it's a visual medium, right? But if we had an aggressive change in style in the second episode, so this would be probably around chapter 4, an aggressive change where even like think about how much war talk there was in episode 2 compared to episode 1. And just how much more grounded episode 2 feels because of that art style. You do that massive switch, that would make people like drop the book immediately. And this is something people don't know. People really don't like multiple POVs in books, apparently. I always get dinged for this whenever I see my reviews. Anyway, when I think about this from the marketing perspective, it really just makes me curious. It makes me feel like this studio kind of went out of control. Heck, I'm even thinking that someone actually want to just do a story about Char, but the studio or the execs told them, no, we have to do cute girls doing cute things and like have Yuri undertones, just like we did with Witch from Mercury. There we go. Gosh, couldn't say that. Anyway, we have to do it just like that, right? And then this guy's like, oh yeah, okay, or the director, whoever they are, like, all right, yeah, no worries, bro. We'll do that. And then they're just like weaving in Char whenever they can. Actually, I kind of hope that's what's actually going on behind the scenes, because that would be infinitely more hilarious. But coming back, if we're looking at it from just the marketing, if they're trying to get more people in the way that Witch from Mercury did, and like when you have the main character being who she is and the second main character being who she is, right? Going with that so far, it makes me feel like we are trying to capture that audience. But then episode 2 is like, let's throw a bone to the original fans. Look, Gundam's a big enough property. I really want it to succeed, because in my mind, if this thing makes a lot of money, that means they'll have more money to devote to other Gundam side projects. And that's what I really want. I want to see more cool Gundams. I want to see Gundam 00, I want to see Gundam IBO, I want to see Gundam Wing. Those are the style of Gundams I want to see. I don't want to see this style of Gundam as much.
Bro, what are you talking about, man?
Bruh.
So if this Gundam helps make money for that, I'll be very happy. But I do have to wonder about this, because like if you're looking at it from the perspective of a casual fan or a casual viewer, and you're bringing them in, and you like bait and switch them and put them into Char in episode 2, when in the first episode you have a much more light affair. You know, the perspective of a mid-tier book salesman, bros, says that you're gonna bleed some audience members. Episode 2 is gonna filter people out. And I feel that fundamentally trying to capture 2 audiences is not as good as focusing on one. And in this case, the one you should focus on is the people that like Witch of Mercury. Or again, Witch from Mercury. Mind you, that's a very like business-oriented perspective on that one. And then again, it's the perspective of a mid-tier book salesman. As a fan, I love the Gundam fights. The Gundam fights look so good here. Put all the footage of the Gundam fights that you can, editor. Put it up there. I love the Gundam fights. That was great. It's unfortunate. Actually, you know what? Let me read for you guys something. I want to read for you guys the synopsis for this thing, because this is also what makes me feel like there is a mess going on in the marketing department or something here. I think like this is probably like this is not a good sign when this is happening in your synopsis. Amate, gotta remember that name, is a high school student living peacefully in a space colony floating in outer space. Okay, I want to assume that's a bad translation, because like, why would you say a space colony floating in outer space? Like, if it's a space colony, it's like fundamentally understood that it's floating in outer space. You don't have to say, okay, whatever.
No! God, please, no! 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 No!
But someone's not a good marketer here. When she meets a war refugee named Nyan, Amate is drawn to the illegal mobile suit dueling sport known as clan battle. Under the entry name Machu, she throws herself into fierce battle day after day, piloting the GQuuuuuuX. Then an unidentified Gundam mobile suit pursued by both the Space Force and the police appears before her, along with its pilot, a boy named Shuji. Now their world is about to enter a new era. Honestly, like, you don't see any part of that really in the okay, there's like one spot of it that you kind of see in the first episode, but she's not even in clan battle yet. Episode 3 preview shows that we're going into that direction. But when you have a synopsis that isn't answered in the first 2 episodes, that's not good. I mean, mind you, when you're big enough, you can do these kind of things because you're big, right? But if you were starting off as a mid-tier book salesman, you can't do this. Or you can do it, but you're probably not going to get good sales. So like on fundamentals, this isn't very strong that's how they're like starting the synopsis. It does create an effect where it's like, well, the viewer's going to think like, bro, I wanted to see people in clan battles and doing a dueling sport. I don't want to see context for why we are where we are with weird sound effects and weird art styles. I just want to get into like the main stuff, right? It's interesting. It's an interesting approach, and again, it makes me feel like we're looking at someone's art project. Anyway, those are my thoughts for episode 1 and episode 2 of GQuuuuuuX. I wanted to make money, so that we can get more Gundam series in the future. I want Gundam to keep going. I really need a Gundam VR simulator game, and the only way that's going to happen is if Gundam continues being a very profitable property. But for the record, you might have noticed, but my favorite type of Gundams are where the pilots come in and they're already like super good technically. On their they're like, you know, I like Gundam Wing, I like Gundam 00 because they started with pilots that were already trained. Those are the type of Gundams that I really enjoy. The ones where a kid falls into the robot, you know, not my favorite, but I'm in. I will support everything that's Gundam if I can. Anyway, everyone, thank you so much for watching, and until next time, I hope you have an absolutely great day.